Good afternoon on what is a bright, clear, but slightly chilly day. It is Tuesday, the 8th of March. I'm back in the reading nook with my cup of tea. Nice hot cup of tea. And a box to go through. And this was one I've already been in a few times. So let's delve a little further. So, putting out all the packaging. So yeah, you've seen me pull out some dice for the John Carter of Mars role-playing game. This box is full of stuff for the from Modiphius, because you've also got these card sets. The next thing I'm going to talk about, let's have a look, let's see what is in here, is, it's just a big bag of things, and I did that, let's see what this is. Okay, so this is, I'll show you what that is, and then I'm going to put the package out the way so that I can talk about this. So yeah. Okay, so this is a supplement for Mutant Chronicles, which is Modiphius Entertainment's first 2D20 system role-playing game. It's set in a far future, where Earth has been devastated by an apocalypse, and then corporate factions have moved off Earth and are fighting sort of like a necrotic basically invasion from beyond the solar system. Basically just so it's a science fiction game, sort of like in the mode of Warhammer 40,000, but very much its own thing. I'm just saying that's parallels, but it's very much its own thing. Anyway, so this is the Mutants and Heretics Sourcebook for the game. This is from the third edition of the game, which was originally published in the early 90s by a Swedish company, and then got published in English sort of like in the mid to late 90s. And then this is the third edition. So, power unrivaled, hidden among the shadows of abandoned buildings and crawling through the very bowels of the city are the misunderstood and the corrupt. Those twisted mutants and insane heretics that hide from the light. To the common man on the street, mutants are as contemptible as heretics. But what are mutants really? Are they a vile product of the Dark Legion's influence, or something else entirely? And what can be said of the true nature of a heretic? Were these men and women born to become servants of darkness, destined for evil, or are some drawn to that power, to the power that is offered in the hopes of turning it against itself? Heretics. What motivates a heretic? Are they purely evil intent, or do shades of moral grey indeed exist? Is it really possible for a human to walk the razor's edge between darkness and light? Mutants. What sparks mutation, and what does it truly entail? Learn the truth about their twisted DNA and the intrinsic power that it brings to those enigmatic beings. The ancients. Strange vaults and undisclosed finds among the stars have led to advanced relics and unidentified ruins. What ancient race left them behind, and to what purpose? Vast powers. Despite relentless persecution, mutants have been able to hide from both the Brotherhood and the Agents of the Apostles. Discover the immense powers that allow them to stay one step ahead. So, we've got all that on the back. There's the blurb. And inside, we have straight off, we have a couple of maps. Sort of like purposely drawn rough maps. So we've got a mutant sewer map and a heretic sewer map. Let's see if there's anything on. No, there's just index and adverts on the back. No more maps. But 2 maps is better than no maps. So then we get into actual contents. And we begin basically discussing the true history of the setting with the ancients at the beginning and the early civilization of the ancients, and so on, and what happened to them. This is really delving into the sort of the darker secrets of the setting, and it's to be fair, it's not something I'm necessarily familiar with, because I'm not delved into these myself. It's the first time I've seen them. I've never saw them brought to light in previous editions of the game that I own. So, we're basically continuing history here. taking up into a war between the ancients and what happened after the war. So this sort of lays the foundation for the core setting, for the background, and essentially with the darkness and the darkness rising as a result of man's explorations and discoveries of things best left untouched. And we'll move on to the Age of Mutation. In fact, this is going to be a really interesting supplement to read from the point of view of the setting, and really to delve into it in that detail. And because I've not really looked at anything for the Mutant Chronicles line for quite a while, because I've not been able to sort of get hold of it and to review it with any regularity. But we've got rules for playing, for creating and playing mutants for what will be a very different campaign, where essentially in the base game you're all members of the Doom Troopers, hunting down mutants and heretics and the like. And we've got discussion of mixed characters and DNA activation and mutations and corruption. So we've got a table of physical mutations. Again, it's supported throughout with sort of some really nice pieces of artwork, which capture sort of just how dark and dangerous the setting is. And we've got things like for mutations, sort of coarse and mottled skins and elongated arms, extreme vascular system, incisor-filled maws, large eyes, so on. So essentially physical mutations here, it's primarily physical mutations. Don't have anything on mental mutations, but we've got here we go on to the legacy of the ancients, and this is going to be fairly it's basically, I say, dark and twisted, and here we get on to psionic powers. And here's the actual legacy of the ancients, and such as the psionic powers. Because it's sort of like, it's quite common for science fiction settings to have some kind of ancient civilizations. So you have them in Star Trek, and also in Traveller, and the known space of Larry Niven's Ringworld and the like. So we've got this list of psionic abilities like Psionic Blade, Psionic Navigation, Psionic Echo, all legacies of the ancients. And we've also got major psionic powers as well. So yeah, this is really, I mean, whereas one of these factions books normally focuses upon elements, basically the culture and the nature of the societies of sort of like one of the corporations and their equipment and particular careers. Here we have essentially the sort of like the deep background and the history and the effects that have begun to appear since. So complete rules for psionics in here in detail. Plenty of nice big pieces of colour fiction as well, which illustrates sort of like some of those effects. And we do have some equipment here. So we have the enhanced technology of the two worlds, and with illustrations, so arms and arm of the ancients. So yeah, should your player characters ever get out to that far to encounter them, and we have psionic endowment, essentially increases to innate powers, and the sonically enhanced spacecraft. So it gets weirder and stranger still. The more you delve into setting, and when we get into the darkness within, we're dealing with heretics. So essentially we've got discussion here of both sides of the coin, dark gifts and the art, because there's certain abilities that some characters can have, and it's whether or not, how far they are twisted or not, whether or not they are dark gifts or the art. And we'll talk about things like your methods of recruitment, typical missions for heretics. You can play an alternate campaign, player characters, not trying to stamp out the legions of the dark, but actually serving them or working alongside them. We've got some story seeds in there. And then we get into sort of like details, sort of the Darkness Unchained, and the greater powers and rituals. So things like Arcane Eye, Blood for Blood, Flesh of Fire, Don Their Skin, all heretical customs and rituals. And then we have things you can summon. So like the Shadow Hound, and then the Seeds of Darkness, we've got the Relics, Veil of the Apostles, and just vile gear, which is, unless of course you're actually playing a heretic campaign, which, yep, vile, but no, that's what you want. Got more fiction and Vault of Infamy, typical NPCs, some NPC heretics. So, yeah, here we go. So numerous NPCs in there which the Game Master can use as, depending upon the campaign, obviously as enemies, and then or alternatively allies or patrons. Yeah. So rounding off with a bit of fiction. Okay. So yeah, that's the Heretics Sourcebook. That's going to be interesting, really going to be interesting to dig into, from a point of view sort of like the deeper background for the Mutant Chronicles setting. And I'm glad I picked this up in the Modiphius Entertainment sale. So there will be a review of this forthcoming. But I said I mean plan that with everything I unbox really. But yeah, Mutant Chronicles deserves some bit of attention, I think. Anyway. I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing of the Nook. If you have, please do click the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to see me out here again with a box and a game or book which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button. Once again, thanks for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.